Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sal Pitera channel. I'm Sal, that is my beautiful wife Debbie, and today we are on our way to Put-in-Bay, Ohio. And if you don't know what Put-in-Bay is an island about an hour southwest of Cleveland. It's on Lake Erie. There's a small chain of islands. The two most notable is Put-in-Bay and then its sister island, Keely's Island, which is right next door. And if you haven't been there, I kind of equate it like almost like a Key West type atmosphere, wouldn't you say?
Very similar, yeah.
When you get on the island, the only way on and off the island is to take a ferry or the Jet Express, which is a giant passenger boat, holds a couple hundred people. And there's a very, very tiny airport, but you can't drive there. There's no bridges. The only way to bring your car there is to bring it over on the ferry. If you're from the East Coast, it's kind of like Nantucket. And when you get on the island, the way to get around is most people will rent a golf cart, and there's shopping on the island and bars and just a quaint little town. You'll find wineries. And on Put-in-Bay, there's some caves that go underneath the ground that have the
Stalactites
and stalagmites. I'm always confused. I do know which one's which now because we went cave tubing in Belize on this last cruise, and I've learned that stalactites have a T in it, which means it comes from the top. That's what I learned in Belize on this last trip. So the ones from above are stalactites, the ones from below are
Mites.
Stalagmites, okay. So if you have any questions why we're doing this, Debbie is monitoring the chat, and I'm happy to answer questions as we talk while we're on this drive. We do tend to get a lot of questions, so we do always put super chats above everybody else. So if you have the means and you want to contribute to our channel financially during a live video like this, do a super chat, and that guarantees we'll see your question because it highlights it in color and just make sure that we'll see your question over everybody else.
We do have two questions this morning, and one of them is from...
You got to speak up, honey.
One of them is from Rucha, and says that he hasn't been on a cruise since December, but he's going in August, and they want to know if they still have free room service menu.
Yes, room service. Your menu is twofold. It used to be that Carnival had 24-hour free room service, everything on the menu. It's not that way anymore. Now the menu is about half and half. Half is free and half is charged. And for the charge side, you'll find things like jerk chicken wings and cheesesteaks. And the average charge is $5 for a meal. But then at 10 o'clock p.m., the entire menu goes to paid service. So unless you're going to go up and get a pizza from the pizza bar or the late night buffet, at 10 o'clock the room service menu becomes completely charged. But it's really not that bad. $5 for a meal delivered to your cabin, I wouldn't say is... I do miss the free room service days, but I really do understand why Carnival went to paid after 10 o'clock p.m. Even though I'm sure on their decision, the majority of the decision was about profit. I do agree with the other part of what they said as well, is if you walk the cabin back when the ship back when they had free room service all night long, you would find two things. You would find trays of food sitting outside of doors with very little bit eaten because people order it, take one bite, and then put it outside. Or even worse than that, you find people that have been drinking and come back to their cabin, they immediately order room service, and then the room service knocks on the door and they're sound asleep and they don't answer it. So there was a lot of food waste after 10 o'clock p.m. So I think people are more likely to actually stay awake and eat their food if they're paying a small fee for it. So I do get that. What was the other question?
We have a couple now.
Again, if you do a super chat, it'll put you up in front of everybody else.
JHS Playa is asking, is Mr. Santos really worth it versus some of the other excursions?
Depends on what you like. The upside to Mr. Santos is it's a beautiful beach. They have lots to do there, everything from massages. Your liquor is free, although it is a little, they're light. They're not real hard drinks, which is probably good if you're out in the sun in Mexico. Your food is included. There's entertainment. There's mariachi bands walking around. There's playthings in the water. There are additional things you can pay for, like jet skiing and massages and shopping. So if you're looking for an atmosphere where you could go and just pay one time and enjoy a beautiful beach, and it really is one of the true beautiful beaches in Cozumel, yeah, I would say it's worth it. If you don't want to spend the price to go to Mr. Sancho's, you can always go to the state park, which is just before Mr. Sancho's. It's a lot less expensive, but it doesn't cover your food and drinks. And they do have a great little beach there, as well as snorkeling. And it's significantly less expensive than Mr. Sancho's. But if you're looking for like an all-inclusive resort type atmosphere, yeah, I would definitely say Mr. Sancho's is worth it. Make sure you get a reservation in advance on their website if you're going to do it, because they do sell out regularly.
I actually have two questions in regard to what we're talking about. One is more a statement, but Michael Williams says you may want to mention that the mariachi and such work for tips.
They do. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that in a minute, because I was kind of frustrated on my last cruise about tipping, and I'm going to explain that to you in a couple minutes.
Yeah, and along with that, and just in excursions in general, Craig, and I'm sorry, I don't even have an idea on how to pronounce the last name. It's Peveril, I'm
We'll just
guessing.
say Craig. Hi, Craig.
Right. Wants to know, do they make sure you're back to the ship in time to leave for excursions?
Yes. Well,
if you purchase it.
Yes and no. There are two different types of excursions that you can purchase. You can purchase them through the cruise line, either at carnival.com, or you can purchase them on board the cruise ship. If you purchase your shore excursion through Carnival, you will definitely make it back on time, because if you don't make it back on time, they will actually hold the ship for you, and you know the ship will be there. Now, they also sell excursions. Look, I'm going to get off at the right exit this time. They also sell excursions privately. You can find them on the internet, not through the cruise line, or even when you get off the ship, you can find people selling excursions right there on the port. And a lot of times those excursions are actually put on by the exact same companies that are putting on the excursions through the cruise line. And they're a little bit cheaper, since the cruise line isn't taking a portion of it, because the cruise line does take a portion when you buy it through them. The downside to those excursions is, God forbid your bus gets in a flat tire on the way back from the excursion. And these are third world countries, so they don't take care of their equipment quite as good as America does. God forbid anything were to happen, a traffic jam or something like that. If you buy an excursion not through the cruise line, while yes, you'll save a few dollars, if you're late getting back to the ship's going to leave without you almost every time. Under rare circumstances, it'll wait, but there's really no guarantee. So for the extra $15-20, I strongly recommend getting your shore excursion through the cruise line. And no, I don't get paid by the cruise line to tell you that. It's just common sense. I've seen lots of people miss the boat in my years of cruising, and I really don't want that to happen to you.
This is for Robert Conyers. Is wanting to know, he has some health conditions and is wondering if he can have a wheelchair at the beginning of the cruise and how that works.
The cruise line doesn't supply wheelchairs. You can bring your own. But there are also companies out there, if you search the internet, they are abundant, who specialize in providing wheelchairs and mobility scooters to your cruise ship. And if you rent them from them, and they're really not that expensive, if you rent from them, they literally deliver it to the ship, and then after your voyage, you just leave it on the ship, and they will come and actually pick it up from the ship. So it's a pretty cool service, and the ships are pretty handicap accessible. Make sure you tell your travel agent that you do need a handicap accessible room, because you'll find that some of the rooms on some of the ships, the newer ones don't have it so much, but a lot of them have like little lips over the doorways, like your bathroom doorway or your door to get into your cabin. And most of the handicap accessible rooms won't have that little lip, so just make it a little easier getting out of. Plus, the handicap accessibles normally have the bars next to the toilets and the shower for you to hold on to as well. So make sure the cruise line knows, if you're going through the cruise lines, the department you want to ask for at Carnival is the guest access department. I know it's kind of weird for it to be called that, considering it's really, for special needs, but it's the guest access department. Just call 1-800-CARNIVAL if you're dealing directly with Carnival and ask for guest access. or if you're going through a travel agent, just let your travel agency know and they should take care of you. And if you don't have a travel agency, you're more than welcome to contact me and I can help you as well. My direct phone number is 330-968-4300.
Okay, our next question is from David Brock.
Hi, David.
He is basically asking what the passport policy is if he goes out of Charleston to Nassau. So maybe you can just kind of touch base on how the whole passport thing works.
If you're doing what's called a closed loop cruise, and I'm going to talk basically on this, and before I do this, I only want to preface this is always talk to your travel agent or your cruise line. Don't take my word on this, because things can and do change as the State Department changes rules. But as of right now,
there's also new driver's licenses that are coming out too that can affect it as well.
Not your cruise. They didn't have nothing to do with cruise.
I mean, as far as travel, as far as passports.
If you're on what's called a closed loop cruise, which means the cruise starts and ends at the same port here in the continental United States, you're not required as of right now to have a passport. All you need is a birth certificate. Carnival's website says you can have a copy of your birth certificate, like a photocopy. I strongly recommend not using a photocopy. I have personally seen people get denied boarding with a photocopy. So I strongly recommend that you have an original copy issued by the Department of Vital Statistics where you live, and a valid state-issued identification card like a driver's license. Again, I know Carnival's website says they'll take a copy. Trust me, I've seen people personally denied boarding because customs didn't like the copy, the photocopy of their driver's license. So regardless of what the cruise line says, you are susceptible to United States Customs and immigration law, and they're the ones who are ultimately going to make the decision of whether or not you can leave the country or come back into the country if it's questionable. So strongly recommend a passport if you can afford one and if you have time to get it. Because even with a birth certificate and driver's license, let's say you are in another country like Belize and something were to happen, you get sick, or for some reason you miss the ship, I can promise you it will be a lot easier to get home back to America if you have a passport rather than just your birth certificate and driver's license. So if you can, I strongly recommend getting the passport.
We actually have a super chat, and then we're going to get back to the same topic we were just on. But Chandler Dickerson.
Thanks, Chandler.
Says, Sal, I don't have a question for you, but I just wanted to thank you for helping me and my girlfriend have a wonderful vacation. Best cruise channel.
Excellent. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate that. And I'm going to talk about something because you kind of led me on to that. And it's the reason why we do our channel is really for our love of cruising and even our love of Carnival. About a week ago, I had somebody kind of slamming me on my channel, who I ended up banning from the channel, but not for calling this out. He ended up just kind of being a jerk. But first there was a question of why we do 99% Carnival videos. And the reason why we do Carnival, and I do other cruise lines as well. If you search my channel, there are some on other cruise lines, but we know Carnival. Carnival's really been our cruise line since, for 25 years. We grew up on Carnival. It's what we know. So for our channel to talk about other cruise lines that we don't know that much about would kind of seem, well, ridiculous. We'll certainly talk about news as it happens on other cruise lines, but we're certainly not going to advise people on like tips and secrets and stuff like that of a cruise line that we very rarely travel. So because of that, you won't really see a lot of videos other than news videos on other cruise lines. Now, the other reason, and the reason why this gentleman is no longer allowed to post on my channel, is he was insistent that I am paid by Carnival to put out these videos. And I'm here to tell you guys that nothing could be further from the truth. Now, let's talk about that. I am a travel agent. we call ourselves a travel concierge because we're not a huge agency. We work with quality. We don't do large numbers. Most of our stuff is by referrals, or some of you that see me on my channel will call and ask if you can become my customers, and I'll usually take people from my channel. But we don't have a huge internet site where we book mass cruises, and our customers are a lot more than numbers for us. And the first thing this gentleman said is that I must get paid more because I'm a Carnival, quote, super agent. So let me put an end to that myth. We're probably one of Carnival's smaller agencies. In fact, because of the small numbers that we do, because we do work with people one-on-one, while I still get you the same great pricing and probably even better deals for my customers than what you can get through a lot of the big agencies, because we are a concierge and our relationship with Carnival, our actual commission with Carnival, we get paid directly by the cruise line. I'm on their lowest commission level. As a matter of fact, I would get a higher commission if I booked Royal Caribbean. So to say that I promote Carnival on my channel because I'm a super agent, I'm telling you, nothing could be further from the truth. Now, does that mean that Carnival doesn't like my channel? Of course they do, because I am a big fan of Carnival, and I'm sure, you know, one hand washes the other. You know, if I promoted you on my channel, most likely you would want to be my friend. Same way as with Carnival. Carnival likes us because we like Carnival. And because of that, do they give us incentives and some behind the scenes stuff to share with our viewers? Absolutely. Do they give me really good deals to share with my customers? Absolutely. But I don't promote Carnival and talk about Carnival because they do that. I would say it's the other way around. They give me those perks and the behind the scenes tours because I like Carnival and because I am promoting Carnival and I'm pro Carnival. So I hope that clears a little bit of that up, but I am by no means sponsored by Carnival. Now, I am here to say that I do love Carnival. It is my cruise line of choice. So Carnival, if you're watching, and I know you guys do, I'm not opposed to you sponsoring my channel. Either way, it's not going to affect my view. Whether you sponsor me or not, I would love for Carnival to sponsor my channel. But either way, you already know my opinion on Carnival, so it's not going to affect the good, the bad. If Carnival were to sponsor me and something happens that's not very good for Carnival, I'm still going to bring that to you because I'm always going to be myself. So while I would take a sponsorship, as of right now, this channel has never been sponsored by any particular cruise line. So I wanted to get kind of out in the open.
We actually have quite a few good questions coming through, and one of them kind of goes back to the passport thing, but they're wondering if they can travel with a passport from their country with a green card as well.
I don't want to answer that question because it is different for so many countries. If you're not an American citizen or you're not traveling from America, I strongly, strongly recommend contacting the cruise line, contact the United States State Department, as well as immigration or whatever your country calls it. Have all those ducks in a line. I don't want to give that information out because while I did work for an airline and I know a lot of them, I don't want to be the reason that any of you gets denied boarding on board a cruise ship. So I'm going to defer that question to the cruise line you'll be traveling on. Let them guide you on who else to contact.
Okay, here's another question. These guys are leaving on the Magic on Sunday.
Hey, have a great trip.
And they're wondering if they buy a bucket of beer, if it is considered one drink or food.
A bucket is however many drinks are in it. You're not gonna, yeah, it's not just one drink. It's a bucket of beer. That's a good try, though. You can try and argue with the bartender, but you ain't gonna win.
Also, this one is kind of a little bit different. They're asking what class of ships are fully handicapped for wheelchairs, if that makes a difference.
I don't think it makes any difference. All the ships from the Fantasy class to the Vista class, to my knowledge, I mean, you're going to have elevators throughout the whole ship. All the passenger decks are accessible by wheelchair. And anything that's going to be harder to access, like if you're taking a tender in Belize, the staff is certainly going to help you. I don't think the class of ship is really going to make a difference. But do call guest access and make sure that you are getting a handicap accessible room. Just this little bit. There we go. So while we're looking at more questions, and again, feel free to ask questions. Deb's going to weed through those. Again, I don't know how many questions, but if you want to guarantee your question gets answered and you would like to support our channel, feel free to do a super chat of any amount of money, and that will highlight your question so that it's guaranteed we see it. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. Take a moment right now, if you like our videos, and share it on your social media so that your friends and family will see this live broadcast and can join in. And if you found this video and you're not subscribed to our channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell notification next to it, and then YouTube will let you know every time we upload a new video. And then there's also the new join button that will be $4.99 per month to our channel as a member to the channel, and that gets you one video like this that nobody else can see. It's only for premium members, as well as some special offers that we give you if you hit the join button as well on cruises.
Before we continue, we do have somebody asking if they're the only one who can't see or hear anything. So if you guys can't hear us, please let us know so we can.
Yes, can the rest of you see us or hear us? Because we have somebody saying they can't see us or hear us. So if you could post in chat if you can see us and hear us okay, I would appreciate it.
And we do have a very good question for you, and one that you're probably going to go off on a tangent and kind of go spread in every direction from this one. It's for Veronica Garza. She says, "Hi Sal, my family and I are going on our first cruise on Carnival Freedom. Any tips for first-time cruisers?"
Yes.
Lots of them. Watch his videos.
Yeah, watch all my videos. You'll get lots of tips. First of all, can everybody see and hear me okay?
I haven't seen anything yet. We see and hear you fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the biggest tip, I mean, there are lots of tips that you can give a first-time cruiser, but my biggest tip I give people is this. Imagine you're not going on a cruise. Imagine you were going to Disney World next week. So you get into Orlando and you're going to meet people that work at the airport. And then you're going to talk to your taxi cab driver. And then you're going to talk to, when you get your hotel, the person who handles your baggage at the hotel. And then you're going to talk to your front desk clerk. And then you're going to talk to the people that work in the restaurant when you go get something to eat. And then you're going to talk to the people who work at the Disney front gate. And then you're going to talk to the entertainers at Disney. And then you're going to talk to the shopkeepers at Disney, etc., etc. All week long, you're going to talk to different people throughout all different industries while you're on that land-based vacation that are there to serve you and help you. And I promise you, during that vacation, at least once, you're going to run into someone or something that you don't like. Are you going to let that one thing ruin your entire Disney vacation? Probably not. So I tell people the same thing when you're boarding a cruise ship. That cruise ship is literally a floating Orlando and Walt Disney World. Everything from the entertainment to the housekeeping staff to the people who take your bags at the curb to the front desk help who are going to help you when you need help to your waiter at dinner. You're going to run into everybody you would run into on a land-based vacation on that one ship. And the one thing I can't understand is when I see people on board that found one relatively minor thing wrong that they disagreed with, or one person that rubbed them the wrong way, and they just let it ruin their entire vacation. Don't let it. I promise you, if you spend a week on a cruise ship, you are going to find things that you don't like. But you're also going to find hundreds and hundreds of things that you love. So just remember at all times that you're on vacation and just let yourself enjoy it. Don't stress over the small stuff. And then the other piece of advice I'm going to give you, sorry I'm adjusting the camera a little bit. Okay, the other piece of advice I'm going to give you, and this is really for because of how much I respect my friends who work on board, is be nice to the staff. The crew, really, everybody on that ship is there to make you have an enjoyable vacation. And I'm here to tell you that they do a wonderful job. I mean, things like your waiter at dinner. I mean, this waiter has several hundred new people every week. But by day 2, I bet he remembers your name and what you like to drink when you first sit down at your table. And remembers how you like your steak done. They really go above and beyond to make you feel, while you're on board, like you're at home. treat them like that. Treat them as an equal, because they are an equal. If something goes wrong and you have to go to guest services, remember the people behind guest services, the men and women who work back there, are there to help you. They're there to make that vacation an unbelievable experience. So many people go down to guest services and I hear them hollering or raising their voice to the guest services people because they can't get what they want. I'm sorry, you can't always get what you want. It's just like any place else. It's not, a cruise is not going to be in everything for everybody. And just because the cruise line won't bend over backwards so far to let you get a specific thing you want, and by the way, they will bend over backwards to give you almost everything they can. Don't treat the guest services people like they owe you. Don't go down there demanding money for everything you think might have went wrong or wasn't how you expected. Just remember that the staff is on board, whether it be Carnival or any other cruise line. They're there on board to make you have a memorable and unforgettable vacation. So be kind to them. You get much more with a smile than you will by going down there in a bad mood and hollering at people. Okay, that's my tangent.
This is from Taconda Smith. Are there better deals on last-minute cruises versus pre-planning?
No way to tell you that. It's just like an airline ticket. It just depends. Early on, you might find lower deals because the ship hasn't really started selling out yet. Or the ship could be 2 weeks beforehand, 3 weeks beforehand. The ship could be completely sold out, in which case the last cabins, if there's a couple left, are going to go through the roof. Or it may be a sailing that didn't sell so well, in which case they'll be giving cabins away. Unfortunately, there's no way to know for sure. So here's what I do recommend. I buy my tickets in advance, and yes, I do pay. I buy my tickets in advance, and buy your ticket on a fare that a lot of the fares, with the exception of like the early saver fare, which is non-changeable and non-refundable, a lot of your fares, if price goes up and down, they'll actually, as long as you monitor the price, or by the way, if you call me and book your travel through me, we monitor it for you every day. A good travel agent will monitor that for you. We have software that monitors it automatically, so if you want to book your travel until I'm done. A shameless plug for us, 330-968-4300. If you book through us, we monitor those fares for you. And if you're on a changeable fare and prices go down, we do get you the lower price.
And we actually just had that question, so you answered that one on your own.
Let's talk about tipping.
Well, we do have one more question real quick. That somebody's going out of Galveston and for a 14-day cruise for the first time on the
Love
Freedom.
Galveston.
However, it's their 6th cruise, but they want to know if the Freedom is in any way like the Magic or the Breeze. And then we can go into tipping.
I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, they're both ships.
All three of them.
They all float on the water. I mean, all the ships are relatively similar. I mean, I don't really know how to answer that question. I'm sorry, I just don't know. I don't know how to answer it. And there's no, like, you're not going to find like huge differences. Like, yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question. Sorry. So I kind of want my audience's opinion on something, because this is something that it didn't bother me, but yeah, I guess it bothered me a little. So I don't do shore excursions usually. Usually me and my wife, when we get off the ship, we just like to walk around and shop and just kind of take a taxi in the town and just kind of do our own thing. It's very rare that we do a shore excursion. So on this last trip, we went to Belize. And I'm all for tipping. I think people that in the service industry, when they do a good job for you, you should tip them. Absolutely. The onboard staff at Carnival, you know going into it that you're going to be paying a per day tip. You know that when you book your fare, it's part of the deal. I get it, and I'm very appreciative. I have no problem paying it. In fact, we usually give more to our onboard staff. The tipping, you know that when you book the ticket, you know you're going to be paying 18% on your drinks right off the bat, or any of your specialty restaurants. I'm fine with that. But here's where I got a little bit annoyed. In Belize, we went cave tubing. So we get off the ship, and when you buy an excursion, they give you your little sticker. You go down into the port, and we got off the ship, and there was somebody who doesn't work for the cruise line, but works for the tour operator company, just gathering people up at the pier and showing you where to go to get on the bus for your tour. Okay, so this person had a thing on there, just literally the person showed you point A to point B, which is probably 100 feet from each other, had a thing on it that said tips appreciated on her shirt. Okay, no problem. So then we board the bus. The bus driver has a thing out, tips appreciated. We take the bus, and the bus has a tour operator who talks about the local economy and things like that, and guides you through the tour. And I kind of knew you were going to give your tour guy a tip. But here's where it got just a little bit odd for me. We walked into the tour company, and the first thing you got to do is you've got to rent a locker and shoes. That was a little unexpected since it was cave tubing. I kind of thought that should come with it. But the person renting you the locker and the shoes was asking for a tip. Then we got our locker and shoes. We went over to the zip lining people to put your harness on you. They were asking for a tip. We get up and did the zip lining. The zip line people who put you on the zip line to go through had a tip jar. We get back down to the bottom. The person who takes the harness off of you was asking for a tip. We go over to the water place where, because it came with zip lining and cave tubing, and the person giving you the helmet and the vest had a tip jar. They had a disc jockey there who had a tip jar. The tour guide who went on the tube with you through the water had a tip jar. On the bus on the way back, they had a tip jar for, again, the bus driver, the new bus driver, and the tour excursion, and the gentleman who did the tour. And it just felt like, I don't know, if you'd have given every single person that asked you for a tip on that excursion a tip, it would have cost more than the excursion itself. And I just think it got out of hand. So let me know what you guys think. Am I off base? Do all of those people, should they all get a gratuity? I'll be honest, I didn't give a gratuity to every one of them. Some of them I just felt like the guy who gave you your harness for the excursion you paid for, I didn't give him a tip. I felt like that's kind of what I paid for. So let me know what you guys think. I know I got kind of on a tangent for it, but I just felt like every single step of the way there was a handout for give me a gratuity. And at that point I just felt like it just went way overboard. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I could be way off base.
We do have a super chat from Barbara Leonard.
Hi, Barbara.
She does not have any questions right now.
Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you supporting the channel. And, you know, it's not that we want to beg for money. We really appreciate the super chats. We really appreciate those who join our channel. I appreciate the subscribers as well. But making these videos really is not cheap. Between the equipment, the cost of the travel itself, I mean, the videos do cost a lot of money to make, and we appreciate everybody who subscribes to our channel, but those of you who support us financially as well, you really do make the difference. So it is very, very much appreciated. Whether it's a $1 donation or those of you who give large donations to the channel, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much.
This question kind of goes back again, something we've touched base on a couple times. But Shannon Bell asks, is there any special... Hi,
Shannon. Hi, Shannon.
Are there any special documents that you need to bring if you're bringing a child that you don't have legal guardianship of, like, for example, your child's friend, but they have a passport?
Yes. So the first thing you're going to need, and Carnival doesn't say it needs to be notarized, but when we've traveled, we've always gotten it notarized.
Just to be on the safe side,
is a letter signed from both legal parents saying it's okay for you to travel with that child. And the more information, the better. So if you can put the child's name, social security numbers, birth dates, your name, listing you with your social security numbers, birth dates, as many identifying characteristics. So if anybody from customs here in the United States or customs in another country has any issues, it really outlines who is who. If you're going to a third world country, personally, what I would also do is, and it's not required, is I would get a photocopy of the identifications of the parents as well. So it shows that the signatures are matching. Again, the more you have in case of some weird emergency in another country, you want to be able to make sure that you have as much documentation as possible. And then the other thing, along with that notarized permission, is get an affidavit for medical care. Something signed by the parents. Again, I always get it notarized, authorizing you to be able to take care of that child should the child need emergency medical care, giving you authorization to authorize that medical care, whether it be on board the ship or in another country. And again, I always get those notarized. It's not required, but I always try to look as a worst case when I travel. And especially other countries, you know, while you'd probably go okay here in America because customs, you know, they can verify pretty much everything. I look at things like if you're in Belize or you're in the Dominican Republic or Honduras, you know, they're not quite as advanced technologically as we are. And if you've ever gone through like their customs, it's a lot different than United States customs. So the more the merrier. Always take that precaution, but at least have those two documents, the medical and the authorization from the parents. And you are going to be required to have the authorization from the parents in order to board the ship. What else we got?
We've had a couple people ask again, how do they get in touch with you as far as how to book a cruise through you?
All right, grab a pen, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our services. First of all, I want to let you know that Carnival has what's called level pricing. Now, let me explain to you what that means. It means whether you go through the largest travel agency in the world, which right now I believe is Travelocity, or you go through mom and pop's travel on your local suburban corner store, the price that Carnival charges is always going to be identical. They don't give discounts to bigger agencies because they sell more. That's a popular myth. What you can have is somebody like me. I am a concierge service. Now, what that means to you is that means that we don't take a huge number of customers. I'm happy to take you because as my YouTube people, I think that, you know, you guys are an extension of my family. But we give the one-on-one service to help you have a fantastic experience. You don't pay us a dime, and you'll pay the exact same amount that you would if you booked through Carnival directly. It doesn't cost you any more. We get paid a percentage directly from the cruise line, and we get paid whether you book with us or not. Typically, for my customers, just as our way of saying thank you, we give a little bit back to you and can normally give you a nice little onboard credit because I don't really have to make money off my customers. I'd much rather help you just book your travel. So if you'd like to book through us, our phone number is 330-968-4300. And if you'd like to go through us, but you already have a cruise booked, you can still call me. You can transfer that booking over to us if it's booked directly through Carnival. I'm sorry if you're going through a different travel agency. I can't help you on this cruise, but keep us in mind for the next. But if you're booked directly with Carnival already and you have not made your final payment, and that's the key, once you've made your final payment, I can't help you. But if you'd like to transfer that booking over to us, the pricing, your room, anything that Carnival gave you as an incentive, all that stays exactly the same. Nothing would change in your booking, with the exception is, as my way of saying thank you, I can give you a little bit of an onboard credit extra just for saying thank you for going with our company and for transferring the booking over to us. So again, if you're thinking about cruising, give us a call, 330-968-4300. Or if you already have one booked with Carnival and you'd like to go through us and have our expertise, we can normally get you a little bit of an onboard credit as long as you haven't paid your final payment to Carnival. And again, one last time, just for those of you who took a minute to get a pen, our phone number is 330-968-4300, or just Sal Pitera at Carnival, or excuse me, at Carnival, Sal Pitera at gmail.com. So Sal Pitera at gmail.com.
To take a step back again about the traveling with minors, now Roma Brown, and I apologize if I get the name incorrect. They said that they actually have custody of their granddaughter, but they're wondering, should they actually take the court orders with them?
Yes. Again, it goes back to the more the merrier. It's better to have it and not need it than to have something happen in a third world country and them saying, well, where is it? I mean, then where would you be? So, yeah, I mean, for that, I probably wouldn't bring like the originals, but I would definitely bring a copy of it. I don't have you in camera. I gotta fix this.
I'm okay with that.
But yeah, I would definitely bring it. It just goes back to the more documentation you bring, the merrier. Now let's talk about documentation for a second, because a lot of people ask me if they should bring their passport when they actually leave the cruise ship to go into port, and the answer is no. When you get off the ship, the only requirement you're going to have to get back on board the ship is a driver's license and your ship and sail, your ship card, depending on which cruise line you're going on, depending on what it's called. But I recommend bringing like a copy or take a picture of your passport or your birth certificate and leaving it on phone or having a photocopy with you. So if you miss the ship, you have a copy. However, when you leave the ship, you want to leave those things in your safe on board. And here's why. It's not just for the security of having them in your safe. If, God forbid, you were to miss the ship, the cruise lines have an agent that actually will stay behind for those passengers who miss the ship. And the first thing they will do if you're not on board is they will go into your room and they will empty out the contents of your safe into a secure bag, and it'll be done with security, so it's not like anybody gets into your safe. And they will leave that with the agent who stays behind at the dock. That way, when you ultimately do get to this ship, you'll have those. But on the unlikely event that you don't have your passport in your safe or they couldn't find it, it's always good to have a photocopy of those documents on your person or a copy of it on your phone.
Let's see, I actually had two questions and I've already lost them. One of them is asking about your pricing, about you had mentioned the level pricing, but they're saying that if they go through Costco or USAA, which are like paid membership clubs, that they can sometimes find that Carnivals are slightly...
Here's how they're doing that. First of all, the answer is that's absolutely not true. If they are booking you a live booking, which means they're just going to book a straight booking with Carnival, Costco and those will get the exact same price that everybody else will get. Here's the difference. A lot of times those warehouse companies on specific sailings will charter a group of rooms out on a ship because they know, based upon their history and numbers, what they're going to sell. So they'll block a block of rooms out long in advance when pricing is low at a group rate, and then they'll just really be selling their group rooms. They're not actually selling you a direct reservation with the cruise line. When they do that, yes, a lot of times those rooms can be cheaper. I do that sometimes. For instance, on the first sailing of the inaugural voyage of the Mardi Gras, I have a block of rooms I'm holding, which are, quite frankly, much cheaper than they're going for on Carnival.com right now, because I booked them first thing when Carnival first offered it, and now I have those and I'm holding on to those for my clients, so they're a little bit cheaper. But that's how Costco and Travelocity sometimes on certain sailings can be a little bit cheaper.
Okay, we have Anton Role is asking, also I live in the Bahamas and they would like to know they want to know how they can sponsor your channel from there.
If you'd like to sponsor my channel, just send me an email at salpitera@gmail.com. Or give me a call, 330-968-4300. And I'm always willing to take on quality sponsors. Also, I have a few products I'm going to be introducing you guys to that people have sent me in the mail. They're not paid sponsorship, but people have sent me products that I think you guys will find useful on your cruise. My address is down in the description. If you'd like to send me something to either review, talk about, or you just want to send a letter saying hello, or something that represents the state you live in that I can talk about on video, my mailbox is always open. So grab my mailbox down below in the description. Would love to hear from you. Would love to test out your product. Just send it to me and I'll certainly take a look at it. But we have some really cool products we're going to be sharing with you in the next couple of weeks. One is some a really cool power adapter designed for cruise ships. There's 3 versions of it they sent me, and we used it on our last ship, and it worked really, really well.
This latest one is actually really kind of neat.
And we just got one yesterday from the same company that even makes the other 2 look old, and it looks really good. So I'm going to bring those to you in the next week or so. We also have a really cool option for you to keep your things secure while you're in port at your beach chair. The folks who sent this to me were actually on Shark Tank. And I think Damon ended up partnering with them, and they sent a sample of one of their products, and I'm going to be showing you that one as well. That came in extremely useful, and I'll show you that. And then we also have some revolutionary snorkeling gear as well that was sent to us. So we're gonna show you some videos over the next few weeks with those 3 products that I think you'll really enjoy, as well as some links on where to get them. And like I said, if you have a product that you would like us to test out, we'd certainly like it to be travel or cruise related, of course. Send it to us, and we'd be happy to test it out for you and share it with our subscribers. Or if you just want to send us something in the mail, or even just a letter, grab our address down below, and we'll be happy to read it. And if it's appropriate, we'll read it on a video.
We do have another super chat from Barbara Leonard.
Hi, Barbara.
And she says she loves you guys, and that she totally agrees with you on the tipping.
Cool. I thought I would, my son is in the service industry, and I was talking to him, and so is our daughter. But I was talking to him about it, and he kind of disagreed with me. He thought all of those people should want a tip. I just thought it was excessive. I just thought it almost got to where if I didn't give a tip, I almost felt like ashamed of myself. It was almost like you were pressured into, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I didn't like the way...
Like you were guilted.
Yeah, it was like I was guilted into giving a gratuity everywhere I went. I just felt it was just excessive. And I love giving gratuities. Matter of fact, there's a line, I think it is in My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin, where he says, it's not tipping I believe in, it's over-tipping. I normally give, over-tip. I normally, tip 20 to 25% when I go to a restaurant. I just felt in this case, it was just too much. It was just, I felt guilty. It's one of those things where you're walking by and you're like purposefully trying not to look at their tip jar because you don't want them to seem so obvious. But you just gave a tip like 20 seconds ago to somebody else.
Okay, we do have a question here from Terry Pate.
Hi, Terry.
I'm not sure which one that is. If you're already booked on a cruise and you later find a better one, can you change the cruise ship and port at no cost from Carnival?
It depends. You got to watch the fare you're booked under. Some fares, like the Super Saver fare, or the Early Saver rather, it's non-changeable, non-refundable. So when you buy it, you own it. And this, I'll talk about cruise insurance in a minute. But most cruise fares are refundable, and it's usually 90 days prior to the sailing is when you start hitting penalties. But most of them are completely refundable until 90 days. Just always check with your travel agent or who's booking your cruise what rate code you're purchasing under. Now, the difference in the rate codes is, like the Early Saver is always going to be your cheapest rate code. At any given time, the exact same room on a ship will have 8 to 10 different rate codes. And each rate code represents something different. Like the cheapest one is usually the Early Saver, which is going to give you the cheapest rate for that room, but it's non-cancelable and non-refundable. And sometimes you'll see Carnival has a sale like 50% reduced deposits. Yes, you're going to pay less of a deposit, but typically it's a different rate code just for that. And ultimately, you're going to pay a little more for your cruise for the benefit of having that 50% reduced deposit. Sometimes the cruise line will offer you an onboard credit as part of their sale. But always watch the bottom line. Like, you might find, like, they'll say, we're going to give you a $50 onboard credit if you book now. But if you actually look at that and you look at the rate code for that, you might find that the Early Saver code is actually $50 less expensive on the exact same room. So it's kind of misleading in the advertising, at least I think, and I wish Carnival would do a little better with that, because not all sales are what they appear to be. So get back to the question is, double check the rate code, that your rate code is refundable. when you book. And as long as your rate code is refundable, as long as you back out within the guidelines of its refund period, then yes, you can get a refund and just book another cruise. I do not believe you can just take that money and apply it towards another cruise without getting a refund for it. So I believe you have to have the money refunded and then repurchase another cruise. I've never seen Carnival actually take a cruise and actually just say, okay, we're just going to take that money in-house and apply it towards a different cruise.
This one's kind of more just for fun. Is Evan Young says that my cruise is over and my life has no meaning. That's not true. Book another cruise.
Oh, come on, Evan. That's
It'll
horrible.
give you something to look forward to.
I really hope Evan is just kidding about that.
I know. We do have a couple other questions here. A couple people must have signed in.
I want to go back for
afterwards.
1 second. I want to go back for 1 second. This is a very lighthearted video, but Evan, I'm assuming that you were joking when you said that. If you're not joking, because it could be, there's always somebody to talk to, Evan. If you're I don't know if our video is offline or not. Oh, there we go. We're back.
Okay.
So, and again, let me just finish because I don't know if we went off. Evan, it doesn't have to be cruise related. If you meant that sincerity and you feel that way, you can call me 24 hours a day. My line is always open to you, brother. Cruise related, not cruise related, happy to talk to you 24 hours a day.
We do have a super chat from Naoma Brown. Thank you very much. And she did
Thank
ask
you.
a question earlier. We actually answered for her. We do have several people asking us, they must have come in a little bit after we had started out, is where we are headed now.
We are going to a little island in Lake Erie called Put-in Bay. It's kind of like Nantucket if you're from the East Coast and you know what Nantucket is, or it's kind of like got a Key West atmosphere, and I do plan on doing a live chat from there, or at very least taking some video if we don't have good enough cell service there. You have to take a boat over to it. They have a very tiny airport, more just for like helicopters and like private little prop planes. Most people just take the ferry over to get to it. They have both a giant speedboat that holds a few hundred people called the Jet Express, or they have an actual ferry, which is what we're going to take the Hummer onto today. So we have the Hummer over there, and you can take a ferry over to it. Just a beautiful place to spend a summer day here in Lake Erie. It's about 60 miles or so northwest of Cleveland, in the middle of Lake Erie. There's actually there's a couple islands there, but the two most popular is where we're going, Put-in Bay, which has wineries, it has bars and restaurants. It's got a little bit of shopping, just a lot of touristy little areas, kind of like Key West, only a lot less people. And then they have Keely's Island, which is the island right next door, which is almost a mirror image of it. Not as many restaurants and bars, though. So, I think we're almost done.
Well, we have another question. Is there
Last chance to get your questions in. Super chat guarantees you get heard. So if you have a question and you want to do a super chat, do it right now because we're almost done.
This question comes from James Hopkinson.
Hi, James.
Wants to know when you are planning on starting to sell off some of the block that you have saved for the Mardi Gras.
James, you can call me tomorrow morning and I will be happy to give you one of those tickets. 330-968-4300.
And is also wanting to know if they do the room, if you also accept payments like Carnival.
Yes, we take the exact same payments Carnival take. As a matter of fact, you don't even pay us directly. You will still be paying Carnival. We have a back end of Carnival's website that we actually submit your payment directly to them. So you never pay me a penny when you book with me. Nothing is charged by my company. All of your payments will be paid directly through Carnival. We can still take the Carnival gift cards if you buy gift cards for fuel perks or things like that at your local supermarket. Any payment that Carnival takes, you can make through us.
Desha Dixon asks, are you ever not on a cruise?
I'm not on a cruise right now. We could be, though. Matter of fact, one of our neighbors, Joey, we are looking at her and her husband Dave. We are looking at maybe going next month. If we don't go next month, they're going to come on the Wren cruise with us. So here's a cruise that is guaranteed to be fun, and we still have tickets left. An Ocean View room is right about $1,000, but tickets are only going to be on sale for a couple more days. But it's really going to be a fun cruise. It's the Wren Cruise, THEREN CRUISE.com. And basically, it's a bunch of fun-loving people who go to Renaissance festivals and enjoy the Renaissance period. We are all going to be on the Carnival Elation on November 11th. And it's going to be a group cruise, which means we're going to have lots of activities over and above what Carnival has, even free cocktails and hors d'oeuvres at a party, as much as you can drink. It's going to be a blast. Lots of private parties and private events that you'll be invited to. It's included in the price of the ticket. And again, it's just going to be a wonderful time. I will be on board. We're going to have a social media roundtable discussion that you can come to, along with lots of other private activities that are put on by our group. So again, it's therencruise.com. We do still have several tickets available, but they're only going to be on sale for a few more days, and then we're cutting it off. So if you're available on November 11th, it is out of Port Canaveral, and we're going to Amber Cove, Dominican Republic, and Grand Turk, where we're even having a treasure hunt on the beach at Grand Turk. So get on board now, therencruise.com. It'll be a lot of fun. That's it.
Well, actually, we have a couple other questions.
A couple more questions.
One is, they're wondering, from Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
Is wondering, what's the best time to board the ship?
Okay, so I'm going to get a lot of flack over this, but I'm going to tell you that this is the way it's done now. Carnival now gives you boarding time. It's a window of boarding time for you to show up at the pier. When you do your documentation online, you're going to select the boarding time. It's normally like a 2-hour gap. Get to the pier about a half hour before then. That way you have time to park and check your luggage. It used to be that everybody showed up first thing in the morning, and the lines were completely out the door, and you really just hurried up just so you could have a seat inside the building and wait for boarding time. Carnival will now make you wait outside if you come too far before that boarding time at a lot of piers. And the boarding schedule time really has been working. So if you come within the time you're boarding, most likely you're going to have no wait. You're going to just walk in, do your documentation, and get right on board the ship. It really does work well. So I would go about a half hour before your scheduled boarding time. All right, guys.
Questions that we have had.
So I think that's just about it. Again, I'm Sal, and this is my gorgeous wife, Debbie. And again, thank you guys so much for being part of our channel. We love making these videos. We love sharing our cruising experiences with you, and we will bring a lot more on board. One thing I do want to ask before we go, so while I'm asking this, if you want to have another question, there is still time to put a regular question. No, we're back on.
There we go.
And the question I have is, I do bring a lot of behind the scenes videos, like the interviews with the captain or the hotel director or the bridge tours or behind the scenes at the kitchen. And it seems that some people love these videos and some people would rather me just stick to just cruise tips and things like that. So really I'm interested in your opinion.
That might have done it. Coming back on.
Okay, we are getting to an area where cell phone is blinking in and off. Did do a video on the ducks. I don't know if you heard the questions Debbie just answered. We did do a video on the ducks. It's still being edited. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when I'm talking about ducks, watch my channel. You'll see a video on what ducking on a cruise is all about. It's kind of fun. The kids really enjoy it. So I think we're going to sign off at this point because the internet's a little sporadic as we get up here.
We did have one other question.
Oh, we got one more question.
They're wondering if you can give some information on the group Mardi Gras cruise.
Yes, I have some tickets for a group on the Mardi Gras. I am not planning on any group events with the exception of a meet and greet. It's not even 100% sure that I will be on there at this point, but I do have the tickets. So at this point, the only thing I can really tell you is if you want to go on the Mardi Gras inaugural voyage out of New York City, it goes to Maine and Canada. It's a 5-day cruise. Give me a call. I do have some tickets left. The only thing I can promise you right now is the tickets have a great price on them. But as far as group activities, I'm not even 100% sure if I'm going to be able to make the sailing. I can't quite commit to it yet. So at this point, the only thing I can tell you is it's the inaugural sailing, and you'll get a great deal on the tickets. So give me a call if you're interested. And then later on, I'll be able to tell you whether or not it's going to be an official group type cruise, or if it's just going to be, enjoy your cruise.
And this one I'm going to let you answer. It's kind of an open-ended question, so I'm not sure that we really have a definitive answer for them. But Riley on a Switch has asked several times, how long is a 4-island cruise? I think that one kind of has a variable answer.
How long is it? You mean like with 4 stops? There is no answer to that. It just depends on the cruise. It depends on the cruise itinerary, how much time they need to sail between islands.
Coming out of.
I mean, it could be an 8-day cruise, it could be a 7-day cruise, it could be a 15-day cruise. It just depends on the voyage and how much time they need to get from port to port, or from your last port home, or from your home port to your first port of call. It really just depends. All right, so guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell notification, hit the join button if you'd like to support our channel financially. We'll be bringing you lots more videos, including one, I hope, live this afternoon from Put-in-Bay, so we can actually show you what it's like on the island on Put-in-Bay. So stay tuned, and we'll be back. Can you hit the off button for me? Because I can't see it. Blind Sal.